this episode, we talk about RJD chief Lalu Prasad Yadav's decision to expel his son from both the party and the family for 6 years, and why, in a way, Tej Pratap had it coming. We also go over Prime Minister Modi's first visit to West Bengal since Operation Sindoor, where he launched a sharp attack on the TMC government. But first, we discuss the looming threat of an oil spill off the coast of Kerala. Hi, I'm Ichha Sharma and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Since last week, authorities have been closely monitoring a Liberian-flagged container ship that capsized in the Arabian Sea on Saturday. The vessel, which was on its way to Kochi from Thiruvananthapuram, tilted in rough sea conditions before over 600 containers, some carrying hazardous substances, fell into the water and began sinking. While no major oil spill has been reported so far, the risk of one still looms large. This incident has once again highlighted the dangers such accidents pose to marine life and the local ecology. To discuss these concerns and the challenges involved in cleaning up an oil spill, my colleague Niharika Nanda speaks to the Indian Express's Amitabh Sinha.
Amitabh, begin by telling us, what do we know about what happened when this cargo ship capsized in the Arabian Sea?
Right, so there was this incident that happened on the 24th and 25th of this month. There's this cargo ship that was traveling from Trivandrum port to Kochi port. It was a container ship and carrying about 600 containers, more than that. And on the 24th afternoon, there were the first reports that this boat was sizing. It got tilted in the ocean. And by 25th morning, the ship had sunk. Basically, it was no longer in a position that it could carry forward. So this is what happened. The incident happened roughly about 25 kilometers southwest of Alappuzha district headquarters in Kerala in the ocean. And there were about 24 crew on board that ship, and all of them were rescued. So there is no loss of life, but there were dangers of a potential oil spill, and that's what got everyone alarmed. This is a foreign ship. This was not an Indian ship, a foreign ship, which is a 28-year-old ship, currently sailing under a Liberian flag. But on this occasion, it was making a trip, as we said, from Trivandrum to Kochi, from south of Kerala to north of Kerala. The Kerala state apparently has already declared it as a state emergency. But right now, so people are preparing for an eventuality wherein some sort of spill happens. As of now, no spill has happened, thankfully.
So what are the major concerns at the moment, and what kind of measures are being taken to make sure things remain under control?
Right. So the concern, as I said, was mainly about a potential oil spill. That concern arises every time you have an incident like this, mainly because all the large ships, all the boats or ships that ply in the international water, they carry a lot of fuel for themselves, things like diesel or furnace oil or different kinds of hydrocarbons that they use for fueling the ship. So they usually have big stocks of that. And when a boat sinks in sea, there is always this danger of that stored fuel getting spilled into the sea, which is an environmental disaster, but also takes a lot of effort, a lot of money to actually clean up. So that is the biggest concern that was there. As I said, the crew had already been rescued. We must inform our listeners right up front that it's been almost 5 days, and there has been no oil spill as of now. While the concern is there, the oil spill hasn't actually happened. But the agencies which are responsible, they have been preparing, they have been keeping a watch on the incident, that should an incident still happen, that they would be able to minimize the damage from it. So as we discussed, that we said about 600 containers, more than 600 containers were on the boat, and some of it have come to the shore. They have been washed to the shore, but a lot of them are in the sea itself. we do not have a very good idea of what those containers have. What the Coast Guard has confirmed is there are at least 12 containers which have calcium carbide stored in them, which is a dangerous pollutant. There has been no spill of calcium carbide, thankfully, and the fuel has also not got out, which means the containers are intact, but they are somewhere in the sea. Only some of them, about 30 or 40 of them, have come to the shore. The others are still in the sea.
And Amitabh, as you mentioned, at least till now there has been no oil spill reported, but the possibility still looms large. Talk to us about the kind of impact an oil spill can have.
So oil spills are usually very, very problematic. As I said, these ships that ply in international waters, they carry large amounts of oil, different kinds of fuel, even if they are not carrying anything else. But a lot of them also carry industrial chemicals, all sorts of things that might be polluting themselves. But oil or some amount of fuel is definitely on board these ships. Now, if an oil spill happens, as has happened in the past, so when an oil spill happens, it's very, very damaging for the marine ecology, for the biodiversity in the area which gets affected. So oil being lighter than water, it generally floats, it forms a film over the surface and it floats over the water and it spreads out to several kilometers, several hundreds of kilometers sometimes. So depending on how much the quantity of oil spill that has happened and, the wind speed, the ocean currents and all. So depending on those things, they get spread to very large areas on the ocean. And that affected area, becomes very, very difficult for, marine biology. Fishes are killed. All the other sorts of ocean life, they get affected. And even for ships or other vehicles, it becomes a huge problem. And these are not easily cleaned up. They don't go away on their own in any short span of time. It takes a lot of, sometimes if you just leave it unattended and do nothing about it, it sometimes takes decades for the thing to get restored to its earlier state. So that's why it's very, very problematic. Environmentally, it's a huge problem.
And how is a situation like this contained?
So what happens is whenever such an incident happens, there are efforts that are made to, one, control the spread of the oil spill first and then deal with it. And there are various ways to deal with it to minimize the damage that is caused. There are biological ways, there are chemical ways, there are mechanical ways to deal with such oil spills. So depending on what has got into the ocean, into the waters, different methods are applied, depending on ocean currents, depending on wind, also depending on the amount of oil that gets into the ocean, they can spread to very large distances. So the first remedial action, the first step in the remedial actions is to try and contain this affected area. So you have those kind of what are known as booms, or basically, you try to create barriers on the surface of the ocean because, as I said, most of it affects the surface only because it's lighter, so it remains on the surface. So what you do is you try to create physical boundaries by, you drop plastic sort of barriers on the seas to try and contain the spill into a specific area and not allow it to go further than that. So that's the first step of the effort. So you can deal with it chemically. For example, you can spray some amount of dispersants which reacts with the chemical, with the oil, and disintegrates them. You can use biological agents, some organisms that work on these kind of chemicals and degrade them. You can have some sort of physical absorption wherein you can use some material which can absorb some amount of oil that has been lying or floating on the water. So depending on the kind of spill, depending on the amount of spill, you apply different sorts of measures to, minimize the damage. Usually, it's very difficult to completely take away everything that has fallen into the ocean. It doesn't happen, but timely action and depending on the kind of spill that has happened, between 30% to 70% of the effect can be controlled.
And Amitabh, have there been any notable instances in India where a major oil spill has taken place?
So the two incidents that come to mind in recent times. One was in 2010 and the second one in 2017, if I am not wrong. But 2017, I think, happened near Chennai, and that was a fairly major oil spill. But that's the last one. And after that, we haven't seen any major oil spill happening. And thankfully, this one till now hasn't happened.
Right. And could you talk about the kind of challenges that teams working on such projects end up facing?
So as I said, because it's happened in the ocean, it's never an easy job. You have to figure out the kind of things that have spilled into the ocean and then try to devise an effective response. You have to deploy helicopters, ships, you have to send in people to fight with it. And again, you have to have those kind of chemicals available. I mean, depending on what kind of thing that you are using to disintegrate or deal with the thing. So you have to have those materials. So it's a costly exercise. Also, it's a labor intensive exercise. And very often you only have limited amounts of success. You cannot completely do away with this spill. So usually it takes a lot of money, effort and labor to actually control these kind of incidents.
And Amitabh, like you said, containing an oil spill isn't easy. So if it is not brought under control, what are the consequences of that?
So as we discussed, consequences are mainly ecological, that your biodiversity gets affected, your marine biology gets affected, your fishes in that area, they get affected, your travel and transport from that area, that gets affected, livelihood gets affected. So there is an economic impact as well. Most of the people around any coast, they are dependent on the ocean for their livelihood. Different kinds of things that people do in the ocean, including fishing, but also things like tourism, travel. And because all that gets affected, local livelihoods and local economy gets impacted. And usually, as I said, it's a long-term process. It doesn't go away very easily. Timely intervention can minimize, but you don't completely do away with the damage.
And now, moving on from concerns about oil spills, we turn to the political turmoil brewing within the Rashtriya Janata Dal. Earlier this week, RJD President Lalu Prasad Yadav expelled his eldest son, Tej Pratap Yadav, from both the family and the party for 6 years. The announcement was made public last Friday through a statement on social media, in which the veteran leader cited Tej Pratap's irresponsible behavior as a reason for his decision.
Tej Pratap is, as you know, elder son of Lalu Prasad Yadav and Rabdi Devi, both ex-chief ministers of Bihar.
This is the Indian Express's Santosh Singh, who reports on Bihar for the paper.
He was a health minister under Nitish Kumar-led Grand Alliance government between 2015 and 17. And subsequently, when Nitish Kumar joined back Mahagathbandhan again in August 2022, then he became Minister for Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That is his ministerial profile. He first became MLA in 2015 from Mahua in Vaishali and subsequently from Hasanpur in Samastipur. His second term MLA now.
Now, while expelling Tej Pratap, Lalu said that his son's conduct did not align with the values and traditions of the Yadav family. And Santosh says that it all began with Pratap posting a photo on Facebook featuring a woman named Anushka Yadav.
And where he's saying, he introduced himself, I am Tej Pratap Yadav, this is Anushka Yadav. We have been in love for last 12 years and we think it is right time to tell you guys about all this and hope you appreciate our relationship. That was the post. We did know about his relationship, but he never went public with it. That's why we could not have published that. But since he made it public, there was immediate furore in the party, in the family. And, election is nearing. It was a huge embarrassment, especially when his divorce petition is pending. He got married to Aishwarya Rai, the granddaughter of former Bihar Chief Minister Daroga Prasad Rai. It was touted as union of two big Bihar Yadav families in 2018. But within a year or so, they decided to separate, and the Aishwarya Rai Alice accused him of domestic violence, accused the entire family of domestic violence, and their divorce plea is in final stages, and she has reported asking for huge alimony. So Tej Pratap posted it, and Within hours, within I think 10, 12 hours, he saw a great difficulty for himself and just said that his Facebook account has been hacked. It's not his post, but it was too late for him. Then the Lalu Prasad took a tough call, but we saw it coming. It was just about a matter when it happens. He expelled him from the party for 6 years. Also declared that Tej Pratap would have no association with family whatsoever. When Tejaswi's son was born in Calcutta, he posted on Facebook how he became a Bade Papa and gave blessings. He is still trying to patch up with the family, but I don't see any thaw in relationship, at least for now.
Santosh tells us that even aside from this entire episode, Tej Pratap, a two-term MLA and former state environment minister, has often been seen as a controversial figure within RJD circles.
He has always been a kind of a troublemaker, if we may say so. He was always flippant. He never looked serious about his politics. Since he's son of Lalu Prasad Yadav, he wanted his political share, especially when his younger brother got a bigger role in party and in government. He also wanted his share of power. That is how he went on to become minister second times. But he was not given any role in organization. That's why he formed a small apolitical group called Dharm Nirpeksh Sevak Sangh, DSS, to counter RSS ideology. It was basically active on social media, basically online. It just have a group of leaders, young leaders from Danapur, Maner, areas adjoining Patna. But it did not have much political influence. He is not used as a star campaigner of RJD for that matter. He has always been on the fringes of family politics and in state politics. He doesn't have a constituency of his own, but he does have his political nuisance value.
Now, backing Lalu's decision, Tej Pratap's younger brother and leader of the opposition in the Bihar Assembly, Tejasvi Prasad Yadav, told reporters that he could not tolerate such behavior, the kind Tej Pratap had now made public.
Everybody reacted in unison against it, whether it was Lok Sabha MP Misha Bharti or her sister Rohini Acharya. These out of the 7 sisters, only 2 sisters went public with their reactions. And of course, Tejasvi Prasad Yadav also reacted that we cannot tolerate it. He's my elder brother. He's free to take his own personal decision. So all the reactions were terse reactions from all sides. And they said when Lalu Prasad, who is the party supremo, the RJD national president, took a call on it, it has to be backed from all sides. Even the party cadres, senior party leaders, they all supported it.
Santosh says that according to RJD insiders, Tej Pratap has been unhappy ever since Tejasvi's rise began in 2013.
It was evident, we also wrote in our copy yesterday, how a 21-year-old Tejasvi, that time he was playing cricket. He came to RJD office in Birchand Patel Path in Patna. It was just a cameo, brief appearance by Tejasvi. Lalu Prasad was there and Tejasvi took mic in his presence. And the Lalu Prasad, the proud father, was watching, and he just made a brief interaction with media. He talked about social justice, how his father has been fighting for social justice and secularism. And that was a brief introduction. At that time, we had no idea that he could come to politics. But there was an inkling, here is the guy who could be the heir apparent of Lalu Prasad. And things went worse for the party as Lalu Prasad got embroiled in fodder scam. And by 2012, it was getting clear that Tejasvi is going to join active politics. He prepared himself in Delhi. He would take mock interviews with his friend Sanjay Yadav, who is now Rajya Sabha MP. He would read socialist literature, read about Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, others. He would hear the speeches of Vajpayee, George Fernandez, and all the Saraj Yadav, including his father's speeches, to have a good understanding of Indian politics.
By 2000, he was said to have prepared himself for active politics, but Santosh says that he appeared somewhat casual at the time.
I remember we had covered his trip from Patna to Samastipur. I tracked him from his residence to Samastipur. Remember Tejasvi having touched feet of Tej Pratap as well. Tej Pratap blessed him profusely. That time Tej Pratap looked nonchalant. He looked reluctant about joining politics. He said, I blessed my younger brother. I am into religious, spiritual things. He had a big hall in his residential house, where there was, photographs and portraits of Lord Shiva, Krishna, Mayurpank, conches, and all such steps. He would be at Vrindavan. So he was into all these things. But by that time, just to give him some kind of financial engagement, family opened a motorcycle showroom called Lara. That is the short form of Lalu and Rabdi in Aurangabad. And he was given some other business as well.
The family felt he might be better off pursuing a business career instead and stepping away from politics entirely.
But things started changing when RJD sensed power. In 2015, Nitish Kumar and Lalu Prasad fought election together, and Mahagathbandhan got 178 out of 243 seats of Bihar. Nitish Kumar became chief minister, Tejasvi deputy. Then this guy came into picture, Tej Pratap. He said, I wanted to become number 3.
Santosh says that during the assembly sessions at the time, the sitting arrangement reflected the hierarchy, with Nitish Kumar at the top, followed by Tejasvi Prasad Yadav, then Tej Pratap, and after them, the other senior leaders. But he says that Tejasvi's rise in the party eventually had a significant impact on Tej Pratap's standing.
And in 2022, when again Nitish Kumar formed government with RJD, Tej Pratap got a low-profile ministry of environment, forest and climate change. And again, by that time, Tejasvi had become all-powerful in the party. He was undisputed party leader, especially after 2020 assembly win, when he steered Grand Alliance to 112 seats. There were only 10 short of simple majority in the house. And Tej Pratap had no role to play in that election. He wanted tickets for his candidates. That was not going to happen. It didn't happen in 2019 election. It didn't happen in 2020 assembly election. And it also didn't happen in 2024 Lok Sabha election. So he had been sulking for a while.
Now, what's concerning for the party is that this controversy has erupted ahead of the crucial state elections and at a time when the electoral dynamics still remain unsettled.
Of course, it's quite embarrassing for party. Had the party not taken action, the even opposition would have asked tough questions from RJD, especially from Lalu Prasad. So, just to escape embarrassment, just to preempt harsh attacks from opposition, he decided to expel him for 6 years. And it was bound to happen sooner or later, because all his activities, he would get mired into some controversy or other. Only, I think 2-3 months back during Holi celebration, he asked a constable to perform Thumka for him. He would sing and he asked the constable to dance. And the next day, he was in uniform. It did not behove of him to dance. He was not suspended, but he was removed from Tej Pratap's duty the next day. And there were sundry stories, right from his childhood till his young age. There were several stories during when party was embarrassed. On one occasion, I remember in 2022, there is a senior leader called Shyam Rajak, he's a former Bihar minister. In Delhi, national executive of RJD, Tej Pratap did not get sitting arrangement next to his father. So he was furious. And Shyam Rajak had made all the arrangement. And then he went ballistic against Shyam Rajak on that occasion. On another occasion, he pushed a party worker on the stage. So there were several such controversies in the past. So party was in a kind very embarrassed with all that. And now that election is approaching, they do not want any further embarrassment from him. So they declared, okay, he is no longer associated with the family or the party, or whatever he would do in future, he would be solely blamed for all that.
And in the end, we discuss PM Modi's first visit to West Bengal since the launch of Operation Sindoor. At a rally in Alipurdwar yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi criticized the Trinamool Congress-led West Bengal government over recent riots, alleged corruption in teacher recruitment, and broader governance issues.
क्या सरकारें ऐसे चलती हैं? यही भावे छोड़कर चलेगी? साथियों, बंगाल की जनता पर हो रहे इन अत्याचारों से यहां की निर्मम सरकार को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। इसलिए पूरा बंगाल कह रहा है, बंगाल में मची चीख पुकार, नहीं चाहिए निर्मम सरकार। बांग्लार चित्कार लागबे ना, निर्मम छोरकार।
As reported by the Indian Express's Atri Mitra, PM Modi referred to the riots in Murshidabad and Malda, accusing a ruling party MLA of leading the violence and alleging police inaction. He also cited the Supreme Court's recent decision invalidating the recruitment of over 25,000 staff in state-aided schools, calling the hiring process tainted. Linking his remarks to national security, PM Modi invoked Operation Sindoor and highlighted public anger in Bengal following the 22nd of April Pahalgam terror attack, adding that India's armed forces had responded with strength.
आज जब सिंदूर खेला की इस धरती पर आया हूं, तो आतंकवाद को लेकर भारत के नए संकल्प की चर्चा स्वाभाविक है। आतंकवादियों ने हमारी बहनों का सिंदूर मिटाने का दुस्साहस किया। हमारी सेना ने उनको सिंदूर की शक्ति का एहसास करा दिया।
Atri Mitra in his report also notes that Prime Minister identified 5 dangers in the state: violence, crimes against women, rising unemployment, corruption, and what he called a selfish attitude among state leaders. With assembly elections due next year, he urged people of Bengal to reject what he described as a ruthless government. Besides this, Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated the 1,000 crore rupee city gas distribution project in Alipurdwar and Kuch Bihar during the state visit. The project aims to deliver piped natural gas to over 2.5 lakh households and 100 commercial users, along with setting up 19 CNG stations. Modi said the initiative aligns with the government's broader push towards a gas-based economy. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Niharika, Nanda and me, Ichha Sharma. If you like the show, do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend it to someone you think may like it, with a friend or in your family. This is the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio or write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.